Hello nerds! Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your Weekend Nerdom Movies edition for the week of February 26th, 2018. This week in movies, we've got so much stuff going on. We've got Bill and Ted 3, we've got Dungeons and Dragons update, we've got Sonic the Hedgehog update, Star Wars Episode 9, Silver and Black, Death of Superman. So much is going on, let's get into the intro!
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander Worf, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
Before we jump into the news, guys, let's jump into the sponsor for today's episode. Today's episode is sponsored by patreon.com/generallynerdy, where you can go become a patron, become a contributor to this channel. If you jump on for the higher tiers, I'm going to put you in an episode. If you jump onto the $10 a month tier, we will go into an episode. You and I will have a discussion on topics of your choosing. If you want to do $5 and you can submit them, you get other stuff too, not just the opportunity to be in the show. If you just want to jump on for $1 a month, just 100 pennies, then you get early access and plus a couple other smaller perks even just for $1. So that's patreon.com/generallynerdy. Thank you very much, all of my patrons. And let's get into the news. So, gotta go quick, guys. There's so much going on in movie news. First up, we have Bill and Ted, Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey, whatever you want to call it. Number 3, it sounds like the script is done. The script has been written. Ed Solomon is the screenwriter, and he revealed on Twitter that he wrote in William Sadler's death into the new movie. So the script is done. That means hopefully we're going to start into casting for all the other parts. We're going to start scouting locations and working schedules around the main actors so that we can actually get a third Bill and Ted. I never thought we'd get this close. Lord knows if it's actually going to happen because they still don't have a production team and so on and so forth, but we're that much closer. So that's awesome. Next up is Dungeons and Dragons. Now, we talked about this when Ben Affleck was no longer the scriptwriter and director for the Batman movie. Joe Manganiello was set to be Deathstroke, and it looks like he might still be Deathstroke, but we thought for a minute that he left Batman altogether, and he was getting behind a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Well, there's no real word as to whether or not Manganiello is still attached to the project, but it seems that Chris McKay, who directed Lego Batman and is directing Nightwing, wants to take a crack at directing Dungeons and Dragons as well. Still no word as to officially what script and who wrote it and so on and so forth, but no confirmation that Manganiello has left the project, so it still potentially will star Joe Manganiello. For those of you that don't know, he was in True Blood, he was in Pee-wee's Holiday, and the Magic Mike movies, sadly. But very interesting. Real quick update on that one. Next up is a real quick update as well. This one is for Sonic the Hedgehog. The live action / CG movie got a release date for 2019. It's going to come out, is planning to come out November 15th of 2019. Still no casting or anything as far as I know, but there's a release date which puts a timetable on things, which means they've got pretty much, I don't know, it's CGI heavy, so pretty much they've got the next 2 months to cast, and then they have to film pretty quick too. It's probably going to be a bad movie, so they probably will film super quick. Next up, we have a big announcement for Batgirl. Joss Whedon has left. He it's not a bad split necessarily. It sounds like he left in an amicable way, because he said something along the lines of it's just going to not be feasible for him to tell the Batgirl story he wants to tell. But that's not to say that Batgirl is dying. That's not to say that project is just going to be abandoned, because Joss Whedon was the one who wanted to do it originally and has been like the forerunner for this. But now that he's left, you would think, well, if it was his baby, then he's gone, it's not happening. Not necessarily. On Twitter, Roxanne Gray and the Warner Brothers VP Michelle Wells have been discussing back and forth. Roxanne Gray, or Gay rather, she actually wrote some comic books for Marvel, and so now they're in talks. Maybe she will write the script, and then they have to find a director, and they have to find so on and so forth. So it still could happen. How awesome would it have been, Joss Whedon, the man who brought us Buffy and Serenity, doing a DC female-fronted property would have been epic, right? Now we're not going to get that movie, but that's not to say the Batgirl movie that happens won't be awesome as well, because Batgirl's a pretty great character. That's where we're going to end that one, and we're moving next into Star Wars. J Abrams was on Colbert's late night show and revealed that not only is the script done and approved, but they will start filming for episode 9 in this summer. They're starting filming this summer, which means they're going with this rapid release date stuff. We're gonna get. It sounds like Solo's gonna get pushed back a little bit, but episode 9's not likely to come out in December of 2019. It will probably come out. I bet we see it, if it's not December. I bet we see it early fall. Anything earlier than that, I feel like, is a little crazy to expect. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Are you still divided on Star Wars? Or are you excited for the final installment of the Skywalker saga? Let's talk about that in the comments for sure. Next, Silver and Black just got delayed indefinitely. That does not mean it got canceled. We are technically about a week away from when they were supposed to start primary photography in Atlanta, I believe, or Mexico. I can't remember, one of the two. And they delayed it indefinitely. Now, indefinitely, generally we hear indefinite, and like indefinite hiatus for a band and so on and so forth. Indefinite we associate with being forever. It's delayed forever, meaning it's never going to get made. That's not necessarily the case. There could just be hiccups, and they don't know how long the hiccups are going to set them back, so they're saying, all right, it's delayed until we can get this finalized, or somebody key to the project has left and they don't want to announce that, so they're saying it's delayed until we can work out this contract issue or replace this person. Or it just they lost interest in it and just completely abandoned the project. That is also a possibility, but then they would say canceled and not delayed. So we'll see when and if that actually happens. Next, though, we have Death of Superman. They're adapting again into an animated movie, but this time, so it originally got adapted a few years ago by Bruce Timm, and that they crammed the entire story arc into one animated feature, and they had to cut out a lot to do that, like you do when you adapt a comic book into a feature, because generally a full comic book story arc is told over weeks and weeks, whereas you've got an hour and a half to 2 hours or so to tell a comic book story in a movie, unless you're Marvel, but that's something else. But so the animated movies have been DC's shining light as far as their movie universe goes. And so what they're doing this time is they're taking the story and they're splitting it into 2 parts. So it sounds like they're going to be doing, the first part is the actual death of Superman, and then the second part is going to be the reign of the Supermen. So you get Superboy, You get Steel, you get all of the different Supermen that happened in the comics when Superman died in the 90s. We got the little teaser bit for it at the end of the Suicide Squad movie that just came out, Hell to Pay, which also, if you haven't checked that out yet, definitely do that. Oh, and then our last bit of news, I'm just pumping these things out, guys. We are getting our first non-DC, non-Marvel, like serious comic book superhero, aside from Spawn, because I'm not stupid. But Vin Diesel is somehow just keeps getting work in interesting stuff. And he's going to be Bloodshot, who is a Valiant comic book superhero who resembles in a lot of ways Wolverine. And actually, Bloodshot came out before Wolverine's backstory was fully fleshed out, which means Wolverine probably owes a little bit of his story to Bloodshot. I believe they even shared a couple of writers somewhere down the road too. So very, very interesting. Vin Diesel again is starring in this new Bloodshot movie. What do you guys think? Does Vin Diesel have the chops to be Bloodshot, or should they have gone with a less well-known, probably better actor? Let's talk about that in the comments. Let's talk about any of this stuff in the comments, guys, because that is where I'm going to end this week's movies episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about next week? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to go deeper into this conversation, though, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. You can find all the freebies, you can find the blog posts and the social medias up on generallynerdy.net. Then you can go deeper into this conversation, or you can jump over to patreon.com/generallynerdy. We talked about that at the beginning of the episode. You can jump on for just $1 a month, become a supporter of this channel. If you are new to the channel, click the subscribe button, ring that bell so that you can get alerted as soon as I post these videos. If you like this episode, click that like button. If you are falling behind on your nerd news and you want to catch up, click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before you go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.